Tasmania Talks with Aaron Stevens for Neil Pitts Menswear in Launceston. Great service, great range, in-store and online. neilpitts.com.au.
3 years ago today, the Controlled Access Scheme for medicinal cannabis was introduced into Tasmania. The scheme was intended to allow relevant medical specialists to prescribe medical cannabis to patients where conventional treatment had been unsuccessful. However, founder of Cannabis Awareness Tasmania, Lynn Cleaver, has advised us that the latest numbers from the government reveal only 16 patients have obtained legal access during that time. Lynn's son, 29-year-old Jeremy, suffers from a complex form of epilepsy and conventional treatment had not worked for him, but cannabis has. Let's go to Lynn now. Good morning.
Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
Good. So what sort of impact did the conventional treatments have on Jeremy?
Oh, it ranged from very mild side effects like gum disease, inflamed gums, increased weight, like weight gain, weight loss, quite mild things, but it got more serious with certain medications. We saw him suffer respiratory distress. We saw him suffer from drug-induced psychosis twice. He lost his ability to talk. He lost his ability to sweat. So these were all very serious side effects, which would have, some of them would have been tolerable had they have been controlling the condition they were prescribed for, which they didn't.
So what turned you on to cannabis?
He was in the throes of drug-induced psychosis, and he was, we had to lock him in our house. He became a danger to himself and to other people. He was jumping out of moving cars. He hospitalised one of his support workers, and we were speaking with a neurologist about this, and he said, look, I've got nothing else that I can safely prescribe Jeremy for his epilepsy. We're going to have to sedate him. And that was just unacceptable to us at that time. We'd been researching cannabis and we thought, well, rather than put him in a chemical straitjacket, we're going to try cannabis, and that's what we did.
What effect has it had? For Jeremy, the greatest benefit has been that we've been able to manage his seizures with cannabis other than using these toxic medicines that weren't working. We've reduced 95% of the conventional medicines. Had they have worked, were they safe and effective, we would never have ended up with cannabis. We don't want to break the law, but this is a medicine that is safe and effective for Jeremy, and he's been refused legal access. And he's not the only one. There's hundreds of Tasmanians in this same position. So you contacted the government and the police commissioner and advised them that you're cultivating cannabis for Jeremy. Yep. What response have you had? So we did that in 2014 when we first started growing and making Jeremy's medicines. And to be honest with you, I never thought at the time that they would look so ill upon a Tasmanian patient that had found a safe and effective medicine. I didn't think it would take this length of time for them to see sense that there are thousands of Tasmanians using cannabis. The majority of them, except for about 16, are doing it outside the law, and quite often outside the care of their specialists. So that's shocking that number, 16 people. I mean, where is it going wrong? Where's the scheme going wrong?
I think initially, it's difficult to get access to a specialist. In our experience, we waited over 12 months for a neurologist at the Launceston General because there just wasn't one here. And then you'll find that patients are waiting, at 12 and 24 months for these appointments to get into these specialists. And then you have the issue of some outpatient specialists just telling patients when they inquire about medicinal cannabis, we don't offer that service, sorry. So they're getting told a flat-out no. And these are patients, generally speaking, that suffer from acute chronic pain. Yes. And we're talking about Overdose Awareness Day. You have many, many thousands of Australians that are turning to cannabis to treat their chronic pain because the opioids have failed them and they're dangerous. They're addictive.
You've said it right there. I mean, and that's one of the reasons that obviously we wanted to cover those issues this morning, because you've got one situation where we've got more dangerous drugs being made available and being misused, and then we've got something like this at our disposal, and the scheme just isn't working.
Yeah.
What's the solution?
And, the solution has to be that in Tasmania, that the government just simply must look at this scheme and work out a way to make cannabis medicines more available to patients. Otherwise, you're going to have all these sick people at risk of having their medicine confiscated and facing charges. And that's just simply unacceptable. They have to do something.
So, Lynn, do you continue to talk to the specialist about having it prescribed?
Yeah, so we were advised after the first rejection. Jeremy's application was one of the first to go through when the scheme opened in 2017. And we were advised by a senior clinician at the Launceston General to try again, which we did. And just last Friday, we've heard that he's been rejected again. So to think that we as parents and his main caregivers would turn away from a therapy that is safe and effective and make him try these other drugs that one of them comes with a side effect risk of blindness. What parent would force their son or daughter to endure such risk when cannabis is safe and effective?
3 years down the track from the scheme, and what's the point of having it in place when people who should be helped out by the scheme aren't being? Lynn, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Tasmania Talks with Aaron Stevens for Neil Pitts Menswear in Launceston. Great service, great range, in-store and online. neilpitts.com.au